So in my last video, I finished my Byzantine workbench right here. Now I have to tackle work holding, and this gives me an opportunity to try something that I've wanted to do for a while. There's a kind of bench dog wedge system that I've wanted to try. And so we're going to take this this beat up piece of scrap here, and we're going to make us some wedge dogs. Would that be a good name for it? I don't know that it has a name. But we're going to be using extremely simple tools to do this, to show that anybody can do it. This is a basic metal ruler with some cork on the back. Now, we won't be able to use this to check for square, but we can check for flatness. Alright, so now I know in advance, because I cut this piece, this is a scrap piece, that these two are square to each other. And from measuring it just now, that seems pretty flat. And that seems pretty flat, although there's a very slight dip right here. The idea here is that there's going to be a block with the hole offset so that it's different lengths from different sides. So we can use that to close different amounts of gap. And there's going to be a wedge. So I'm thinking of making this side into the wedge and using a piece about right there to the block. I don't want to go all the way to the pith right here, so let's see approximately how far in from the edge that is. It's about 3¼ inches. Okay, so for starters, I'm going to line that up and come in 3¼ make a dot there. Then I'm going to try and eyeball it as square as I can. I'm using the first tick on both sides here to try and line it up nice and square. I'm going to come in 3¼ there. I'm going to do the same thing in the middle here. 3¼ Okay, so the reason that I made 3 marks instead of just 2 is because any 2 points make a line, but 3 points being perfectly in line with each other is very, very unlikely. So this is the one that I'm the most confident in. I'm going to try and compromise between those two there. That'll do it, and we'll be able to plane that nice and square later anyway. Now to decide how far out this should go. If this is going to wind up being 3, and that's going to be 1/4 off, so that's going to be about 1 inch away from this side. And it's going to be about 3 inches away from that side. I think I might make it 5, because I can always trim it down, which means I need to extend this line again. Dead on. Okay, measuring along that line that I just cut, 5 inches is right there. And since these lines start at the same place, I'm going to use that far side there to set my mark. Very good. Now the reason that my saw is binding up is because this has changed size, so which put it under tension right there. So if you look at the kerf, it's actually tighter up top than it is down here. I don't really have a way to relieve that, so I guess I'm just going to have to go through it. Good enough. Wonder if I could do this. Yes, as it turns out, but not particularly well. Alright, now let's pivot this. The holdfast is keeping downward support, all I'm doing is preventing it from rotating. Let's see, how did I do? A little proud right there. What did I do there? Wow, that's pretty dead on. Okay. So now what I'm left with is the piece that's going to become my wedge. And it's very raggedy, especially on that side. If I already had a method of work holding, I could scribe a line in here and then plane down to that line. But I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take it from this corner to this corner, scribe that line, and then cut it out with a saw and just see where that gets me. Since this side is already really nicked up, I think what I'm going to do instead of using my scribe is to just use a pen. There we go, that gives me a nice clear line. A little bit at the end there messed me up. Okay, let's see how we did. Not bad. Oh boy. Well, turns out keeping a really low angle like that actually helps a ton. Low angle and go slow. Now it can't just be straight this way. It also has to be straight that way. And I can already tell from eyeballing it that it's not. Okay, so I can't keep it from falling over when I take the wedge out, but that was pretty effective. And I can cut other wedges that are similar to this, but a little thinner on one end, so that I could use it between these two bench dogs right there, because this is just barely not enough room. The original design that I saw for this block was 4 inches square. The hole was on the center line, but offset by 1 inch, so it was 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. But I kind of like this as it is, where it's different sizes. Now, you notice that I didn't square these sides to each other, and that's because as long as they're smooth so that the wedge can pass through them clear, they only have to be plumb. They don't have to be square to each other, because it's going to freely rotate until it aligns with the wedge anyway. If you found this to be helpful, share this video.